if the audio and the video quality are okay for now, but we've got a few minutes before the event kicks off, so please, anybody in the chat, please let me know, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm seeing in the chat some haze, which is good news. Audio and video are great from Ornikar, so that's excellent to hear. Hey Bakuz, what's up? And Mark and Sazed, what's up Sazed? How are you? Lakenwecker is saying so excited. Yeah, I am too, for sure. I mean, I really was 50-50 on whether or not you know, what I preferred to do, to get the opportunity to comment on this or to play it myself. In the end, I think commentary is well, hopefully it'll be the right choice. I think I don't stand much of a chance in this event. For those of you who have never caught any stream of mine from my own channel, I'm an international master by the name of Astaneh. And I'm here today just to, on behalf of Lichess, to attempt some commentary on the inaugural Lichess titled Arena event, which is a $1,000 prize pool event. Now, other websites also are having these kind of tournaments, and Lichess, of course, understands the excitement that they bring. So we're trying to do something a little bit similar, but actually our lineup here tonight is simply through the roof from what I can see. So let me take away this board and let's go to the Lichess titled arena. Please let me know if there's any issues with, for example, not being able to see some tab or anything like that. So I'm just checking the chat. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I haven't actually seen the numbers, but I've heard that there's a lot of people tuning in to this particular event, which is really, really cool. First of all, I don't actually know who. Well, I haven't even looked at the list, but I don't know who. A good few of this, I don't recognize about half of the names. I might recognize their username, but I don't know who they actually are. But some pretty sick ratings. Okay, Bahadir Ozan, 1 minute to go, guys, but Bahadir Ozan is the top ranked and he's a FIDE master. Amazing chess player. I've played against him a bunch of times. Incredible bullet player. Do I think he's the favorite in this event? I would be pretty shocked if he were to take it down, even, you know, as incredible a player as he is. And the reason for that is that there are some high caliber grandmasters. In number two, Bhama Granite, never played against him, 2944 rating. That's insane. Penguin GIM, who recently obtained his third grandmaster norm. So he's now a grandmaster and in third place, and I mean simply one of the world's best bullet players, no doubt about it. So what to say about that? Toivok, FIDE master 2800, incredibly strong. He just seems to have pulled out. So in fourth place is Ginej. I haven't managed to actually, you know, complete the top 10 here, but we're just going to stick with the top game here. Let me know, guys, if there is any issue on the audio. And hello to everybody who just arrived. I'm sorry, I won't be doing too much commentary. I'm gonna attempt to do too much chat. I'm gonna attempt to see what's going on here. I was thinking maybe some knight d5 there, just some total craziness. So there seems to be a lot of pressure here on c5. Rook takes d7 just for a collapse here. Knight takes c5, very speculative. but I mean, you know, it's bullet. There's knight a6 also in the air. e6 is falling. c5, however, the knight is a little unstable. Knight takes e6. It looks to me like this is a little bit of a bluff here by Bhama Granite. And Penguin is amazing at diffusing these situations, but maybe there's going to be some rook a7 at some point. If only this bishop could get into the game. However, now, I mean, I can barely count, but I think Penguin is just a full rook up, and this is game over. This would be quite the swindle. This is just flat out game over. Penguin is usually merciless converting these positions. Okay, so, oh man, rook is being hit, bishop, everything is safe here. Queen takes h5 coming in, maybe some queen d1 check at some point. Perhaps he could have gotten away with it then. But 8 seconds to go, wow. So this is one thing that we're discovering from this mysterious Bhama Granite, which is that he, dare I say, he is incredibly fast player. What can I say? I mean, just incredible to have 11 seconds against 4 against Penguin. Having said that, you know, Penguin used his time wisely. He was able to win without any trouble. So he's off to an important win there as black. Let's click on to the next game. So this is Oscar Ardilla against FIDE Master Sopuyez. I don't know who these guys are. I'm just basically clicking whatever. That's my strategy for now. I'm going to click whatever is on the right hand side. But if you guys in the chat want to suggest some other system, then please let me know. Hey Chessbay is claiming that Penguin is on the school bus going home, so he's playing from his bus on his phone. This would be truly amazing. Let me click on a top 3 player. Let's go ahead and do that. Man, who's here? Who's at the top? Okay, let's click on Figlud. How do I follow? Sorry, how do I follow this? Okay, here we go. So this looks like kind of like a French defense here with this structure. And g5 is actually quite typical. Now this has been stopped with this g4 idea because otherwise you want to press on d4. But the thing is, d4 is falling. On the other hand, you know, total madness here on the king side. Bunch of pressure here. Knight takes f7 might be on, but look at the white king. It's extremely unsafe. White is up a lot of material. There's going to be a lot of tactics around f3 and f2. There's also some ideas here with this bishop. Some d4 wouldn't shock me at some point or another. Bishop e4 is probably going to be a good response. Maybe some knight takes e5 here in the air, but bishop e4 is coming on time. So two grandmasters going at it here. Figlud from Wales. I don't know if I believe that. I might be making a big blunder here, but I'm not sure that there are any Welsh grandmasters. Apologies if there are. And Dual Master, it doesn't say where he's from. So Queen c7 is checkmate, and Dual Master there completely repelled the somewhat sketchy attack, right? I mean, total. He just ate everything. He ate here on g5, and then on f7. and on h8. So that knight just caused a lot of damage, and after that there was just no recovery. So let's move on. Castorcito or Macrofago. So Macrofago is from Spain, and if I'm not mistaken, Macrofago is a guy called Jose Carlos Ibarra Jerez, who's like nearly 2600 Grandmaster. I remember many years ago playing against him and being amazed by his talent. We were both juniors, and he crushed me very, very convincingly indeed. And since then we've played quite a bunch. So let's see if we can follow his game. He's playing a FIDE Master Zamax 2000. So why do I have the Twitch chat on the screen? Do you realize how easily you can get banned? I I guess I didn't realize how easily I can get banned. Also, is the stream quality okay? I mean, to be honest with you, I used to stream quite a lot, but I haven't streamed in months. So I'm not too sure if the settings are tweaked best, but we'll see. Stream quality is great. Okay, excellent. So we'll keep it as is. The only thing I need to do, and please do give me some feedback if I'm just not catching the right games and you guys propose better system. So let's JL Hammer. Let's take a look at JL Hammer's games. Seems like I can't. Wait a second. Here we go. So JL Hammer is playing against I Am Taika. JL Hammer is John Ludwig Hammer. So Norwegian number 2, no points for guessing who the Norwegian number 1 is. And so he's actually been playing a little bit on Lichess. I've played against him myself. Obviously, great player and great addition. But he's just after dropping his knight in this nasty time scramble, and he gets, ouch, Taika with the Swindle, Russian player. Okay, let's just click here. It's probably the fastest thing to do. Cash Your Dream says, Astaneh, use the TV button on the hover card to follow one player for a few games. Let me know, guys, if you would like me to follow a specific player rather than all games here. King takes, by the way, Queen H4 would be mate, but nice E7 intermezzo, and now at this point, white is just winning. Queen E8 is what I would expect. Just exchange the pieces. Now maybe bring that knight back into play at some point, or just start gobbling up the pawns. Okay, knight C1, knight takes B3. Everything is going to be falling. B2 is not working. Knight D3 is happening. Okay, so if one player for a few games. Okay, so let's see who is the highest rated player here that we can see for a few games. How about Georg Meyer? German, one of the top German players. He's on 10 points. Macrofago. You know what? Let's watch Macrofago until he crumbles, if he does. So let's just go ahead and do like that. Where's the TV icon? Here it is. Okay. Mike Clipping is asking, is there prize money? Yes, there is. I believe there's $500 for first place and $1,000 in total. So a bunch of pressure here against this knight on c3. Knight g4, and this bishop is going to fall. And once that bishop falls, there should be something. Knight f3. Whoa, I don't understand. Macrofago just gave up a rook. He just, some sort of hallucination there. Goodbye rook. Rook g5. Well, now there's some queen f3 ideas here, but all the same, queen takes e2. Maybe the rook is hanging, some checks and checks. Check again, queen g3. Very nice. Okay, and queen f4. Queen g6. Macrofago is extremely annoying in these positions, and I mean that in a complimentary way, right? I mean, he's just very, very tricky. It's not over till it's over here. There might even, I don't know, there might have been something here, you know, if he can drive the queen to g5, it's checkmate. Oh, there you go. There you see it, right? All of a sudden he's up a pawn. This is Macrofago. I'm telling you, I've played against him a bunch of times. He will convert this position, and that's a win. Probably shouldn't have allowed the white king to get there. Would have been easier otherwise, but nevertheless, I mean, it doesn't matter. The pawns convert. Jim Quackenbush, what's up, man? Jim, your comment is too controversial to be read out loud on a Lichess stream. Have to be reserved for the personal Astaneh stream. So Macrofago, the Spanish, one of the top Spanish grandmasters, is leading the way so far, and he's playing against Asaf Givon, who, if I'm not mistaken, is an Israeli international master, and clearly a very, very strong bullet player in his own right. I believe he's good friends with Tal Baron, who also has played and streamed on Lichess. So very tough fight here in theory. Macrofago would be for me the favorite, having played both of these players. However, at the moment it's not looking, it looks like at the very least white has a draw, right? Knight h5 or knight e8, but he's going for it. And now by going for it, things could get very, very messy, because black has the bishop pair. You know, he is down a couple of pawns, but white's arrangement is a little bit unusual. And the rooks are very strong. Then again, knight takes g6, pawn takes, and queen takes. Oh wow! Queen takes e6, I think, was working here, which would have been beautiful if f takes e6, knight takes g6 with a very, very nice checkmate. Unfortunately, my insistence on showing you some nice motif meant we missed the entire game. That's something that probably needs to be avoided, but what can I do? Yes, that precise Astaneh stream, the one that was never heard from again. Yeah, I mean, I've been. The thing about it is, I've been traveling. I've been traveling quite a bit. I was a little bit sick before that, and something had to give. And unfortunately, what had to give was the streaming. It was just too. It was taking over my life, guys. It was taking over my life, you know. So, well, okay, that's being dramatic, but it's something that I want to get back to, but it's very, very time consuming. Anyway, forget about my my nonsense. Let's talk about this game. Macrofago again there had a little threat here of queen b2. That was stopped. Now h6 just to prevent. Wait a second, queen e8. Queen e8 was mate because no rook f8 because of this. But funnily enough, white was busy stopping that threat, and that's why Macrofago then played h6, bishop takes, knight e2. Then the knight goes dancing, and what is happening here? Okay, it seems like once again it's one of those loose positions, and the knight falls. The knight falls, and now Macrofago is very much in control, continues to create a threat, creates a secondary threat, and after rook here, I think knight d2 is possible, and he does play it. Queen takes, and in the end, it was checkmate a few moves later. Okay, so Okay, so now in this particular game, it is Macrophago against Mr. Hammer. So the chat, I believe, was getting on the Hammer train earlier on, but I refused to stoop to those levels. So we'll call him Mr. Hammer instead. So there are some threats here. Knight d6 check was one possibility. Here the problem is if e4 we can't take because the knight is on c4 is hanging. Knight takes instead, rook takes, and very nice that the knight can't go back to defend here, but knight takes d3, the point being that if you exchange everything, knight takes e1 is happening. Here I'm not too sure what's going on, but it looks like black is gonna win the pawn race. No, well, okay, check, and there's no king d5, so he has to step in and the queen gets skewered. That is a very, very nice win by Macrophago over... Wait a second, by Macrophago or by Hammer? Who won that? Okay, we just gotta keep going. Macrophago is playing against Dani the Donkey. So I'm gonna assume his real name is not actually Dani. But let's see this game. I've only played against Macrophago before. And a very unusual opening here. But black, I really like black's position here. Beautiful pawns. Not quite sure what's going on here. Although missing, with the pawn here, missing the dark squares, the dark squared bishop, there could be some problems. But that knight is off the board and there's no way that this knight is coming in. There's no bishop coming in anytime soon. There might be some threats like this in queen f6. But this is a very, very long way away. For now, black seems to me to be in control. Knight d5 though, that knight has stepped in and it's forced an exchange, but very, very nice move. Queen e4, hitting both rooks, and if you exchange the queens, then there would have been a loss of a rook. In the end, 4 pawns, but somehow Dani the Donkey has emerged. I really liked black's position initially, but Dani the Donkey is now up. I can't even say Dani the Donkey with a serious face. h6, I like this move. Rook takes so that knight f5 is possible, so that the rook is coming in. But h6 check, in the end it's game over, because if king g8, g6 is just crushing this pin, and the 2 pawns are rolling up the board. And if not, then f7 is going to be falling anyway. Okay, so we'll spectate somebody else after this game. It seems that Macrophago has slipped to a shameful number 3. We've got Macrophago against Chess Network though, so we will see this game. Chess Network is known to, I would say, to most people who watch chess on YouTube or on Twitch. He's known as Jerry. Excellent player in his own right, but I would argue an even more excellent commentator. So even though he's a national master, I mean, I've got about a 50-50 score against him, give or take. So I mean, he's for sure, as a bullet player, he is for sure, IM strength and certainly capable of upsetting Macrophago or anybody in the field. So we've got, in this position, however, Macrophago is doing pretty well. He's got 6 pawns against 6 pawns. He's got the bishop pair. He's got a little bit of a space edge. He'd probably like to go for some f5 push at some point. King b2 to defend the pawn. Maybe rook f1 at some point. He's probably afraid of that because of rook h2. And that would have pinned everything. Okay, king c3, king d4. Probably bishop d3 and f5. This is what he wants. Bishop h3 trying to stop it. b5 as well, trying to provoke some weaknesses there. Bishop takes is very interesting because after pawn takes a6, and this pawn and bishop combination with the active king is extremely difficult, and I think g5 should lose the game, especially because there should be some, maybe well-timed g6 move. Yeah, so I think here is just Zugzwang. Next move, king b7. Okay, so let's go ahead and view the tournament. And let's see, who do we pick? Do you guys want to pick, I guess, the leader, Figlud? Just makes sense. So let's go ahead and watch his games. So what is going on here? We've got Figlud against Chopper 1905. So two GMs doing battle. I have no idea who Chopper is. Figlud, I don't know. I don't officially know who Figlud is, but based on his style, I don't know. I get the impression, I've played a bunch against him. I get the impression that he's, I won't say anything, but I get the impression he's, you know, basically, as you might expect, a strong grandmaster. So Figlud here is up against, in other words, when I say a strong grandmaster, I generally mean 2600 plus or very, very high 2500. It's not, you know, 25, 10 and that kind of thing. So Figlud is extremely strong player. And here what's going on is this knight seems to just be stuck. And the point was, after knight takes b5, c takes b5 not possible because bishop takes a8. But after knight takes rook here, now the knight cannot actually retreat. So a3, c takes, a takes b4 not possible because of this. Let me try and catch up with the game. And I don't know what exactly has happened, but we've got hammer down a piece. Knight b6, very nice touch, because otherwise knight f6 was coming in, and if queen takes a8 was the point. But with the knight on b6, it's defending the rook. I am presumably incomprehensible at this stage. Queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes rook a3, c3. And I suspect just knight takes f2 at any given moment. King f7 is a nice move, and Figlud is just completely crushing hammer here. Even if he takes this, bishop takes d4, and indeed bishop takes e3. Moving in the pieces. And it's checkmate. So let's see. Sorry guys, 1 second. I have to deal with a domestic problem. 1 second. So I will throw you guys this game. Sorry guys about that. I don't know exactly what was missed. I apologize. Full disclosure, my grandmother is here for Christmas, and she's a little old, so she I mean, I did let her know that I'd be streaming live on Twitch, streaming chess live on Twitch, so I wouldn't be as available, but somehow the concept was is maybe not the most straightforward to explain. So what's going on here? Okay, Figlud is up against Arca50 now. And we've got a bunch of messy... We've gone almost half an hour into the event. So we've got about 25%. We're about 25% of the way through. And yeah, I mean, it's some very strange openings, a lot of h4, a lot of, you know, h4, a4. They're not taking the opening phase so seriously. Knight c3 or knight b2 is looking very strong, hitting the rook and the bishop. In the end, bishop d3, knight takes bishop instead. I would have taken the rook myself, but I guess this bishop is a very, very strong piece and creating some serious threats here. There might be some f4. But probably black would like to do e5. Wait a second. I would have thought that here, just bishop, no, knight takes maybe, and then bishop takes. I think would have maybe picked up a piece. So we're probably, let's see. Rook b8 at some point there with the knight and the bishop. And knight c2 I think is a very interesting move. Knight takes e1, and then bishop c4 maybe. Well, at this point Figlud is definitely in control here. We've got a clean exchange, although the knights are very, very tricky here, and there could be a bunch of checks. Yeah, knight takes f5, one pawn falls, a second pawn falls, but bishop e6 was a smart move. I thought it was a smart move, but in the end, wow, I actually think that this is probably just knight e3 check, and the rook is falling. And in the end, it's actually Figlud who has to resign. So that was really quite a nice game by Figlud. Sorry, not by Figlud, by Arca instead. Figlud is still ahead. Dani the Donkey is in second place, and Figlud and Dani the Donkey are going to be playing here. So sorry, by the way, guys, that I'm not really interacting much with the chat. I occasionally read some stuff, and yeah, in general, nice things are sort of being said about the event, about also some comments about the channel, like my own personal channel. So I appreciate the kind of the interest and stuff, and I do hope to be back streaming in the not too distant future on that channel. But for now, let's try and not miss games like this, which just happened in an instant. Dani the Donkey in 21 moves just completely smashed Figlud. What exactly happened? Everything seemed pretty normal up to about here, and then okay, then just knight takes e3, sacking a piece, but blasting open the center for 2 pawns. The bishop pair also very active. d5, trying to keep everything more or less together. Simple developing move. Queen comes into the play. Rooks double up. The coordination for black is just brilliant. Other than this piece, everything else is really, really strong. Then queen h4, and what was the killer blow? f4, activating this bishop. Remember I said other than this piece, everything really strong. And amazingly, I guess because none of these moves are actually working because of this pin, so everything is just tied down, and Figlud had enough. What a massacre. That's probably the biggest massacre of a game that I've seen so far. So Dani the Donkey is back at it here against Arca 50. I've played against Arca 50 myself, and I have no idea who he is, but I can say he is a unpleasant fellow to play against. Let's put it that way. I seem to recall that I played him in the Lichess Bullet Championship, and he sliced through me like a knife through butter. So he's a very strong player. Let's see what's happening here. He does seem to just be winning against Dani the Donkey. The pawn on e6 isn't much help. Oh, yeah, so it's game over. And Arca 50 may be ahead at this point. So let's view the tournament. No, Dani the Donkey is still ahead. So let's take a look at Bhama Granite against DTD. So knight e4, the rook is hanging. Okay, knight d4, these knights are very strong, but they're somehow more or less being kept under control for now. Now the knight on d4 has to be dealt with. f4 is coming in, just completely ignoring this knight on e4 that white doesn't take. h5, trying to crack things open. Pawn takes and bishop takes. f3, okay, so black is now down an exchange, but on the other hand, he has a nice initiative here on the king side. He should be completely lost. Rook g1. White is blockading everything pretty well. Queen d5 check is probably quite unpleasant, and maybe it's hard to know. Queen g3 is a strong threat from black, but that's being dealt with. Maybe some kind of, but it's very hard for black to find a move here. Queen f5, rook h4 maybe. Queen c2 I guess is the threat. Queen c2 is a very strong threat. Queen d8, queen d5, rook takes g4 maybe, but no, rook takes g4, queen takes, and rook g1 was a very nice idea, I think. Bishop d4? No, bishop d4 is still not possible. Really tricky. Queen c2. Dani the Donkey putting a lot of tricks, but he is busted here, and the queens have come off the board now. Bishop e3 to stop rook d2 check. Rook h4, and this bishop, what are you going to do with it? I'm not too sure. You have to defend passively, and now there is no attack, and white can actually just trade off. A mouse slip ends the game, but the game was over all the same. So it's Dani the Donkey, Figlud, Arca 50. They're in the top 3. They're really the ones in the race, although Bhama Granite is, of the top 5 guys, the only one on a streak. Let's see what the featured game is here. It's Dani against Joa BN, who's international master. I don't know. Says he's Norwegian. Played him a couple of times, but I don't actually know. Don't know who he is. So Norwegian international master, apparently. I say apparently because here you are basically able to lie. They allow you to lie about your nation. Queen e6 check, king f8, and knight d7. It's game over because the queen has to be sacked. So poor old Joa, he was beaten pretty bad there. Okay, h5, h4 is the threat. So Wrestling is saying Joaquin B. Nielsen. So maybe there's going to be some tactics here centered around knight takes e4, for example. Knight takes, queen takes, and knight takes f2. I think that was a possibility. Now, f2 is now being threatened anyway because of queen c5. That's addressed. White is under a bunch of pressure here. Knight takes d5, nice tactical point. If c takes d5, queen takes c1 is happening. Knight c3 and queen takes f2. This is falling. Or knight takes f2, the point. If queen takes, then whatever, some knight check will pick up the queen at the very least. Knight e4 is just maybe a mouse slip or something. And here we're back to Dani against Macrofago. Guys in the chat, let me know if you want to see, I don't know, some like lower board games, some particular player that you'd like to see for a while. Please do let me know. Otherwise, it seems like we're seeing kind of the same, you know, the same 3, 4, 5 guys. Thank you, Karesh. I appreciate that. So people are saying that Andrew Tang is playing the event. And some people are saying spectate Penguin. So would you guys like me to would you like to turn our attention to Penguin? A part of me thinks it makes a lot of sense because Penguin is probably maybe the best known of the players of this event. On the other hand, the other part of me thinks that maybe you guys want to see the kind of the fresh new faces. So I'll leave it up to the crowd. And he's also streaming his own game, so perhaps we'll just focus on the top boards in that case. Okay, so this board here, Fieglud against John Ludwig Hammer, and it looks to me like just a winning pawn endgame for Fieglud. These king and pawn endgames, the general rule is if you're up a pawn in a rook and pawn endgame, you know, anything can happen. But if you're up a pawn in a king and pawn endgame, almost always you're busted. I mean, well, if you're the side with one pawn less. And here it is game over. There's just one trick, by the way, to know, guys, which is, let's say, you know, if you were to put the king here and white puts his king here and then advances the pawn, that's a stalemate, right? So just the one trick to avoid in that kind of a situation. So Fieglud is just leading. So let's go ahead and watch his games until he's no longer the leader. So he's playing a WIM called Cavalier's King. Where is she from? Okay, so it doesn't say, but must be doing extremely well in the event in order to be able to be playing against the top board here. Knight takes, F takes. However, she is in trouble here. The queen and the rook are both hanging. Bishop takes A1, picking up the full rook, and now, well, okay, it's a simple full rook advantage here. Shouldn't be any problems for Fieglud. The only concern would be some kind of queen d5, dropping this loose rook on e6. Fieglud is going for d5. If pawn takes rook d6, doubling up, and then d5 is recovered. Okay, I expect queen. Yeah, okay, resignation already happened. So it seems that maybe there's a little bit of lag because some players just go ahead and stop. Let's see if Dani the Donkey is playing. So he's playing a Lichess regular Toybok, somebody who I've probably played somewhere. Yeah, okay, I've played like 50-60 games against Toybok, and Toybok gets the better of Dani. They're very, very similarly rated players. And here just d6, opening up that bishop, queen d7, rook e7, queen c6, creating the battery. And just in bullet, it just happens all the time. You get a check, you see the bishop, you take it, and you get checkmated. This is bullet 101, guys. So let's move on to the next game. Fieglud has according to Olarov in the spectator room, he has a 10-point lead. And, well, I mean, anything can happen with an hour and 20 minutes to go. We've got balanced material here, but black is definitely in command because these pawns are all a little bit weak, especially b4 and d4. the knight and the bishop are better than the knight and knight on this kind of an open board. This pawn on f4 is a real danger. Black's pieces are more active, and even his king is a little bit safer. So I would say that this position is, if not winning, then very, very close to it. Knight f4, I think, is a very good practical try, but even this position, you know, king f5, king e4, maybe pick up b4, maybe not. King e3, I'm not so sure about. King takes d4, rook takes, ooh, a7. Now it's actually, the tables have turned, because this is just going to be a loss for, I mean, after rook a4, a8, rook takes, it's just game over. So amazingly there, Figlu he got very careless here, because I'm pretty sure that around this position it should be something very close to a win, but he got careless and Jesse Pinkman got the win. Nevertheless, still a 10-point advantage, but keeping the streak is very, very important. For those of you who are not familiar with Lichess Arena events, the way that they work is kind of unique. So you get auto paired immediately after a game, so there's a prize, well, in this case a literal prize, but there's a premium on playing fast, right? So aggressive chess, there's a premium on that. Not stalling, of course, you know, just playing the second that you get paired. Don't wait for the timer or anything like that. But probably the biggest premium of all is this thing called Berserk. So if you win one game, you get 2 points. If you win a second game, you still get 2 points. But if you win a third game in a row, you get 4 points. And after that, you don't lose your 4-point berserking extra double points until you fail to win a game. So it's extremely important when you see that little kind of icon and it says the people are on fire, you know, when people say that they're on fire or on a streak, that's literally what it means here. And it's, I mean, that's why, you know, players who are just machines like Penguin, who's incredibly fast and incredibly good, he can tally up these insane score lines because the guy just doesn't drop a point for, you know, half an hour straight, and he just blisters, just massacres the field. And you know, in this kind of an event, that's very, very difficult to see. So if we can see Dani the Donkey, he's got the fire streak right here because he's won 2 games in a row. So now he's on point to score 4 points, right? And other than that, in the top 10, only Yoran VDS, a grandmaster, who again I don't know who it is, he is also on fire. So let's see, Dani the Donkey, can he actually get his 4 points here, which would be very, very important with 45 minutes of the 2 hours elapsed. So at times, by the way, if I stop commenting, it's either because I'm reading something else or I'm daydreaming. It's actually incredibly. I've never commented. Oh wow, rook takes e7. Nice idea. The point being that if king takes rook here, knight takes c6 would have been a fork. So yeah, what I was saying is that commentating these bullet tournaments is extreme. It's actually much more exhausting than playing bullet, actually, although I guess it's easy for me to say that, but that's how it feels for sure. So what's going on here? Well, wow, no way. How is this a draw? How is there no way to get out of this? Surely some queen g7 or something like this. I mean, it just, you're up so much material, you have to be able to convert this, but he just allowed a 3-fold repetition, so that was a little bit strange. Not quite sure if both players saw something that I just completely went over my head. b6 is a possibility here. Okay, e5 is falling, so that's gone. d5, queen takes d5, white is now up 2 pawns. Maybe rook b1, knight d5 if you're not careful. Bishop takes, queen takes, that knight on b3 needs to be dealt with. Maybe the knight on c5 is now being targeted. Queen c6, white has very, very nice light square control, and after the exchange here, b6 is falling. a5 is also falling, and the problem is this knight is going to struggle. b6, and now knight and queen here. there are serious problems. Maybe bishop f3, for instance. Knight e4, I guess, but queen b4 and hitting this knight on e4, also hitting this rook. There's going to be b7 and queen takes f8 as well if you're not careful, but this knight is just falling. Bishop takes d1. Of course, if rook takes d1, the point was queen takes c3, but the bishop is on f3. So Fiji just absolutely massacring Joran VDS in this game. Let's see. Bishop a6, as far as I can tell, is the threat here after b6. So queen and rook is here. Bishop a6 anyway will probably happen. Maybe some knight d3. I really like black's position here. He's got like a dream French structure. Although f4 did mean that he had to drop a pawn. Probably he should have played knight d3, and now white seems to be in control. f5, I like this move. Bishop takes, knight here, bishop takes, pawn takes. Maybe there's going to be some knight takes f4 at some point. I thought, you know, something crazy like that, or rook takes f4 just to try and get the ball rolling against the white king, but black decides to play it much more cautiously. Queen h7 was a mating threat, but by taking this pawn there is no mating threat. Actually, there was previously no mating threat either, so ignore me. Oh, ouch, the rook. This move, of course, is completely crushing because, you know, the king side situation is collapsing, but the rook is hanging, and after that it should be game over. Not queen takes b1 because f takes, and then queen takes b1 here. King d8, knight takes, I would say, because if king takes e7, then there was maybe queen d6, and now just the queens come off the board and the bishop comes off, and that's two rooks. That is game over, and Chopper loses this game. So let's view the tournament and let's see who the top 10 players are here. Shall we take a look at, I think we've seen quite a lot of games of these players, but I mean, I don't know, guys. You know, my impression is that we should stick with the top players, maybe do a little tour here very quickly. In the top 20, we've got, in the top 10, we've got all GMs except Meneer Manje, extremely strong young Dutch international master, and FIDE master Toivak, who again is just I mean, at the very least, international master strength. These guys are regulars and extremely strong. I don't know any details, any personal details about Toivak. I do know that Meneer Manje is a quite young Dutch international master. No doubt he will you know, have the GM title before we know it. So let's see here. We've got a bunch of GMs as well. Although now it's starting to creep in some more FMs. We've got Pap G, who I'm assuming is Gyula Pap. I think he's a Hungarian grandmaster, and he's playing against Figlud. So let's take a look at this game. So we're seeing some... Okay, well, we're seeing just bishop c5, and it's game over. This rook is hanging. Okay, so somebody in the chat is saying Toivak is a young, strong Finnish FIDE master. So Bakuz is asking for a game by WIM Cavaliers King. Let's actually take a look at the female title players in this event. It seems WIM Cavaliers King is doing quite well, gaining a bunch of rating points, and is in 27th place of 186. Let's see who else is there. I don't think I've missed any so far. So maybe possible that... okay, so we also have Orlova Chess, who I believe is a occasional streamer on Lichess, although I don't stream at the moment. I do keep I'm coaching on Lichess at the moment, so I'm on Lichess every day basically, and I've noticed that Orlova Chess is one of the recent streamers, but this is, I think, Okay, and then there's a bunch of players here who I think must have withdrawn very early on. We have players, amazingly strong players like Eltaj Safarli, top Azerbaijani grandmaster, Rebecca Harris, who I actually personally am pretty much certain that I know who that is, but I don't know if that's private or not, so we'll err on the side of caution. Dr. Bassem Amin, I don't think we need to be too private about who that may be. That's one of Egypt's strongest players. Bassem Amin, incidentally a doctor, should come as no surprise. Justice Bod is well known as well, but a bunch of players who pulled out of the event. So let's go right back to the top. Let's take a look at a game. Let's take a look at what's going on here between Figlud and 12 Team. Chesbey is asking, are there any other GMs who are doctors? I only know one more. Well, I'm sure that there are a lot of GMs who are doctors in the sense of medical doctors. Probably the most famous doctor in the sense of, you know, having a doctorate is, I might be wrong in saying this, but I think that the most famous is John Nunn. At least he has, to my mind, one of the most famous stories. I don't want to say it in case, you know, I don't want to try and remember the exact dates, but I believe that, I mean, roughly speaking, he was the youngest undergrad studying mathematics in Oxford since a fellow called Cardinal Wolsey or something like this, who Cardinal Wolsey was an undergrad in Oxford in something like 1520 or something. You guys can pull this up on like Wikipedia or whatever. So he was a real mathematical prodigy, and I'm pretty, you know, he's Dr. John Nunn anyway. So if we're counting this type of doctorate, then there's certainly more than one. But I gotta admit, I don't know too many grandmasters who are medical doctors, though I'm certain that there are quite a few, especially back in the day when many very, very strong grandmasters were actually they had another profession at the same time. I think, for instance, Max Ove was maybe a mathematics professor or something like this. I think Smyslov was a famous musician or an accomplished musician. I think Botvinnik was an engineer, something like this. Again, I might be getting these professions wrong completely, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, to answer your question, that my guess is, I don't know any, but my guess is that there would be. So here there's a possibility for a draw by repetition, but black has no reason to take that. Black's pieces are really well placed, and now he gives up the bishop in order to get this nice pawn center, but maybe some bishop d4, but knight d5 check, pawn takes, and bishop takes d4, c5, however, d4. And we're having this beautiful center. F3 is the threat. Be very careful here with e5, with e4. It's Dani the donkey against Figlud once again. d3, probably knight f3. No escape for the rook. Actually, this is a beautiful game here by Figlud, and Figlud just toying with his opponent. Understands that this rook can't go anywhere for now, and he's gonna wait. But bishop takes d7 actually, and bishop f5. So he toyed with him a little bit too much, and Figlud, very, very tricky, escapes without any material losses. Dani the donkey rather escapes without any material losses. Although I don't think it's going to matter. Knight c2 and knight c6 are now both threats. It's kind of tricky. Maybe rook b6 and just rook c6, something like this. Bishop there, knight takes c6, king b5, rook takes, king g2, and king f3. Well, actually now it's not so easy. Rook a5 maybe is just going to happen at some point though. Rook a5, rook takes d2, and maybe even rook takes f2. Very sneaky move. Bishop e3. Bishop e3, scooping up a lot of the pawns, and now it's not so clear, but he should have probably just taken rook takes a4. I'm not sure what would have happened there. Rook takes a4 and then rook a2. And I think that, in this position here, had you gone rook takes a4, rook takes a4, and then this is defended, and then, you know, you move the rook, and rook a2, pinning here. I think that maybe actually that's just a win for white, which would have been quite a spectacular return. So Bhama Granite against Fiji here. So knight d5, and I think that's just going to be game over. Everything is defended for white, and the rook is just falling. Fiji is on 80 points. Dani is on 72. Bhama Granite on 66 points. Let's see. Who do we take a look at? I guess we'll take a look at the top game again. So Baku's is saying that Penguin GM is coming into the, well, he's threatening to arrive into the top 10. Apparently he's now at number 11. I think he started it off on his iPad or something like this. And anybody who has played against Penguin or simply on Lichess has watched Penguin play, they know how incredibly fast he is. And so if there's somebody who can make up a points difference very, very quickly, it's Penguin is a good man to bet on. So what's going on here? We've got the pawn on g3 is in serious trouble. However, white has this pawn rook g2, very nice touch, king e1, and now rook g1 is coming in with tempo. That's very, very nice touch. And here actually after king e3, rook e2 was also a possibility. Rook g7 is kind of in the air, but I'm not too sure what that actually threatens. Oh, damn, knight f8. Knight f8 check, king here, and rook h7 mate was actually mate. But Fiji missed that here. Knight f8 check, nothing to do but king h6, and rook h7 would have been a nice finish. So the chatter telling me that Penguin has just made it into the top 10. Who are you guys rooting for actually? Who's the top pick, or is the chat generally very, very neutral about who might take this one down? Les is saying the donkey. Staley says gotta go for Tang. Steubenfish is rooting for an FM. I don't know if that's just any old FM, just the kind of one of those underdog rooting types, or if it is a specific FM. Knows All says I want Lance to make a surprise appearance and clinch it all. I'm a big fan of Lance myself, but somehow if he picks this up, you know, late joining, an hour down, I will be impressed. I don't think it's possible for anybody, no matter, I mean, you know, the world's greatest bullet player, you know, ×2 could join this event, and I still don't think you have time. It's just an hour is gone. So the donkey, we are back to seeing the donkey. But the one thing about this tournament, as you guys can see, there's nobody who has, you know, has been able to maintain a vicious winning streak. Figlud here with a nice winning streak of about 10 games. The donkey about 8 or 9. We've got Bhama Granite, you know, not that much. 4 or 5 games, maybe 6. And here again, same, Arca with about 6. So it just goes to show the caliber of opposition, that you can't, I mean, you know, it's very easy to join like an hourly bullet arena or something at 4 o'clock in the morning when you should be not playing hourly bullet arenas, and sometimes there are no titled players, and you can rack up a bunch of wins, and, you know, get a very nice score line. But here, every single point is tough. It's for those of you who are just joining, this is a titled arena, meaning you have to have a FIDE title in order to be eligible to register. So there are no weak players in this event. There's no club players. So national titles also work. There are NMs in there. Yeah, actually, I may be wrong. I may be wrong on that front if the NM title is not a FIDE recognized title, but it is recognized here. There might be something going on like that. I think that the National Master title is the USCF title. So I might be feeding you guys wrong information. Just goes to show, don't trust people. So let's take a look at this game here. Dani the Donkey once again against 12-Teen, who is, speaking of National Masters, 12-Teen is a National Master, but I don't believe it. I mean, of course I do believe it. I'm sure he has that title. But what I mean to say is that he is an extremely, extremely strong player. So knight takes g4. I thought maybe knight takes g4 was working, but actually the bishop is defending the rook, right? So we're looking for that x-ray. Here, again, now the king is defending the rook, so still no knight takes g4 ideas. Black is down in exchange, and it's going to be tough here. The position, on the other hand, the rook has just fallen, so that's a big, big help. Rook takes and rook takes pawn here on c takes pawn on d3. I think might even be stronger. I prefer c takes d3 personally, just to not leave him with this pawn. But I like this idea of b5 to push to b4 at some point or another. Rook takes d4 is coming up actually, and in the end things might just be working. I don't like a3 at all. I would have preferred takes, and then rook takes, but I guess rook takes c3 is the problem. So maybe here this is going to be either some kind of a draw, I think. I mean, I don't see either side finding it straightforward to make progress, right? Black is just dancing around a little bit. White finally has been tempted into pushing. And here 12-Teen is now finally actually in a winning endgame, but these things aren't trivial. With the pawns arranged in this way, ouch! And it is a draw. It's some sneaky rook takes b7 with 2.9 seconds. And actually, if Dani had somehow decided to be a little bit nastier here, he might have been able to move the rook or something like this. Windows feature update ready to install. Please do not install. Remind me tomorrow. Please do not force that upon me. Pick a time tomorrow. Okay. Sorry about that. I just did not want. Gotta love Windows 10. Indeed. So what's going on here? Okay, so it's Penguin GIM1. So the Penguin against the Donkey. So tough battle here. And what is the material count? It looks like Penguin is just winning. He's just up a piece. It's as simple as that. Penguin's got an extra bishop there on b6. But wait a second. Could there not have been some kind of like rook f8 check here? Maybe. And then the point being rook takes, queen g8, and queen f6, picking up the bishop on b6. So there were some ideas there. Now the point is, if you take this rook, then queen takes check, king here, queen f7 check, king back, queen check, and there's no way to escape the draw. So Dani the Donkey being a tricky customer here, and wow, okay, Penguin just goes ahead, and there's no doubt that he didn't see it, but Penguin just goes ahead and accepts the draw. So he didn't see how to break this. That shows the I don't know, the resilience, the tenacity of Dani the Donkey here. I'm sorry, the name for some reason just cracks me up. I clearly have a very, very sophisticated sense of humor. But yeah, I mean, bishop takes f6. What to do here? The c2 square is covered, so no queen c2. This is well protected. If you go king here, at the very, very least, there's a check. So he just decided rook f8 is not an option. So he just decided, you know what? I've got a lot less time on the clock. I'm going to take the draw, and we'll play again. So Dani is now playing against Chopper 1905. So 7 pawns against 7 pawns. Black has a nice little center here. On the other hand, this bishop is a little bit out of play. This pawn is very, very strong. He takes back like this. You see, normally you might want to take like this so that you have this chain, but the problem then is that suddenly black would push e4 and have 2 passers. Instead, here as it kind of ends up, black only has 1 passer, which he probably wants to push ASAP. Queen takes d5 is actually a very strong move. Bishop is on d6, it's on prise, and the problem is this point here on g2 is also extremely vulnerable. So d3. The knight is a strong blockading piece, but somehow this bishop, there's d2, and I think that works because knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes g2, bishop takes, this is hanging, and if queen takes, bishop takes e3, knight takes, then queen takes is hanging, and if queen takes instead, queen takes g2. Notice, by the way, how quickly I was like, there's d2 maybe, and Chopper had already played it. I mean, this is just, these guys are on a crazy level. Their tactical recognition is really, their speed is just incredible. Having said that, it's, well, okay. Oh, wow. It's the time for profanity, but I shall refrain. Man, that's a sickener for Chopper. He had a beautiful little tactical shot here with d2. That's a really nice shot. The point being, if you take initially, let's say, then knight takes is hitting here and defending, but d2 is very nice tactical motif. And then he goes ahead and the cruelty of the mouse, you know. Well, actually the cruelty of pre-moving, right? Because he probably expected queen f2 to happen, but king h1 happened instead. And boom, queen f2, game over. So Georg Meyer, for those of you who don't know, he's like a 2680, something like this, 2680 Grandmaster from Germany. I know him from having actually played against him about maybe 18 years ago or something like, no, at the World Under 18s. So he would have been something like 17 or something like this. So like 12, 13 years ago, I played against him. Haven't ever spoken or met him since, but from what I can gather, he's a very strong and, well, certainly strong, but very professional, chess player, knows his openings very well, and he's also extremely tactically strong and a very, very, very powerful blitz player. So that's kind of the comments I can tell you there. However, this time he lost as white. Let's see what actually happened. Okay, okay, Dani with g5. He's not taking the opening phase too seriously. But then, okay, the pawns on the h and g pawns roll up the board. d4 comes under fire, a lot of pieces here striking. And then also the h file is open, so things are looking dangerous. Maybe some queen b6 in the air. The pawn on d4 falls. Knight f3 check is a nice touch, because the point is that after bishop takes, g takes, you've won a pawn, but you've been forced to give up this important light squared bishop that defends your king. And then after this, okay, castle, knight here, bishop c4, conserving the bishop, takes, bishop d4, and, well, some sort of total collapse. The point is, no matter where you go with the king, there will be some kind of check and winning material with this knight, maybe even knight e6 and picking up one of these pieces. So here we have 5 pawns against 4 pawns. It's looking very good for black here. But again, his king is maybe just ever so slightly fragile here. Some queen a8 check, some queen d5 check if you're not careful. Bishop c3 is a good move. e1 queen is being threatened probably. Queen e4. Queen e4 just to prevent queen d3 and to prevent e1 queen. And queen f5. And that king now, as we were mentioning earlier, that king is in a little bit of trouble potentially. He's picked up a pawn, but the king has gone to safety. Queen e8 check maybe is going to happen. The white king is storming. The thing is, this pawn is not easy to actually cash in, right? So king here, if queen takes e5, the point is very nice. Bishop here, king d3, maybe king d3. Just give up the bishop for this pawn. And I don't think white is going to lose this unless he loses it on time. Otherwise, I think that this is, I don't know if it's objectively a draw, but these pawns are too fat. No, it's game over. It's game over. So Dani is gonna pick up a win here against Bhama Granite when it didn't look likely at all, and by checkmate. So very, very nice game there. And what is the tally? Well, Dani is, of the top 6 players, he is the only one on. He's not only the leader, but he's the only one on the fire streak. He has some tough opposition here in the top 10. Penguin GM, he is also on fire here. He's got oh, but he's just lost the game. So at this point, it's only Asaf Gibbon in 8th place who is on fire, though he has actually won quite a few games in a row. Let's keep on going with Dani. Some people are suggesting he may be Daniel Naroditsky, or are they saying this about Figlud? I'm not quite sure. Figlud withdrew. Okay, Figlud withdrew. Daniel Naroditsky, it could be Daniel Naroditsky. He's an incredibly powerful bullet player, incredibly fast. Although having played against him a bunch, I don't know, there's something a little bit different about Naroditsky's style, but it could very well be. So here what's happening: Rook g1, bishop f5, rook g7, king e6, bishop takes f4, and we've got 5 pawns. And it seems like Dani the Donkey is once again in control in this game here. We've got opposite colored bishops, which are often drawn, but these 2 pawns are 2 connected passers, and there's no way. If you have one pawn, if you're 1 pawn down, then okay, maybe we can talk about a draw. But 2 pawns down here, it's going to be very, very difficult. Although now you're down only 1 pawn, but the pawns on c6 and d6 will decide the game. They cannot be stopped. And of course, the fact that there are pawns on h2 and h7 actually just makes it even more straightforward to convert. And the reason for the fact that it's even more straightforward to convert, even though you can convert actually in spite of these pawns, whether or not they're here, because these are actually just too advanced. But the reason why it's easier to convert is because, let's say I put my bishop here, And now I push my pawn, and you've put your bishop here, and you take, and you take, and you take. Now, if you gave up, if you succeeded in giving up your bishop for these 2 pawns, and these weren't here, then it would be a draw. But if you do that, you give this all up, but I have my bishop and I have my king, especially I have my bishop of this particular color square, so there's no blockade. So this is a particularly easy draw. Maybe you guys, sorry if you guys don't actually want any of that kind of commentary. Perhaps there's mixed opinion on those things, but it's just I'm improvising here in terms of what to do with with commentating 1-minute games. I've commentated 3-minute games before, but 1-minute games, especially by such strong players, they go so fast. The thought process is very hard to dissect, you know, or to analyze, because I think that's what people do when they make commentary, right? They try to sort of explain to the audience what's going on. Bishop e3 maybe. Explain to the audience what's going on in the head of the opponents and what lines are being missed. But man, that's tough for a mortal to do in Bullet. Maybe in the future we'll have our AI overlords, you know, doing some kind of commentary on human chess players battling it out in Bullet, and they'll be able to comment in a very smooth way. Having said that, I'm seeing in the chat that there's a couple of people saying that they do like that analysis. They do want that commentary, so that's cool. I'm glad to hear that. Lord Sakujo, that's good scale, man. That's good scale. And cool, Muzianayelepsi. I'm not even gonna hope that I got that name right, but I'm glad to hear that. So somebody is saying Chess Network has just broken top 20. What do we have here? We've got an extra pawn for the donkey. I keep flipping between Dani and the donkey, and Dani the donkey, DTD. There are many options. There are many options with this name. So maybe Queen D3 just to sort of pin this knight and the king, make it annoying. But Black is doing likewise, and now White has stepped out, which is very brave. You normally wouldn't see that, but he's obviously calculated that, you know, if Knight C5, there's Queen F3. You know, stuff like that. And then Knight C6. This is, you know, these guys, Magic Andy as well, I don't actually know. He's a FIDE master, but the way that Dani the donkey is playing, you can see, I mean, you can see that mastery, right, of a grandmaster. You can see that they put the pieces in squares that, you know, lower rated strong club players, let's say, or even, you know, candidate master, FIDE master players, many of them, they just won't put the pieces there because there's too much to calculate and they want to play it safe, you know. But when you play against the top GMs, you see that they're just, and when I say top, I mean anything over about 2600, 26, especially over 2650. Whenever I've played against anybody over 2650, these guys are monsters. They'll break all the rules, and they do it with such confidence because they calculate so fast. So here, let's see. So we've got Giulia Pap, who I don't know how far he is up the rankings, but he's got the white pieces here against Dani, and we've got 7 pawns for Giulia. I think Giulia is a pretty, I may be butchering his name, I think he's a pretty like conventional player as far as I understand it. By the way, there was a threat here, very strong threat, bishop f5, so rook e4 is coming in with, I think, too speculative a sacrifice, but anything for the attack here, anything for the attack. King b8, because if you take here, queen takes is coming in with check, and the queens come off the board. That's not possible. Black absolutely needs to keep the queens on the board. Some rook g8 check at some point. Ouch. Queen e8 check. Giulia Pap. Game over for Dani. Back rank. And I'm absolutely dying here. Well, maybe not in the literal sense, but I will need to get some water. I might even get a tea at some point in the near future. Okay, so Arca against Dani. Can we just take a look very quickly? Dani is on 107 points, so he's got 20 points with 38 minutes to go. He has lost the streak here. Georg Meyer is on a streak with 82 points. Where is Penguin? Penguin is on 75 and no streak, so he's having, for his standards, a not very good tournament. Let's get back to Dani. The rank is displayed right beside the clock, Alex. Thank you, Bakus, for letting me know that. I'm pretty sure maybe even you had let me know that before, but it had completely slipped my mind. So indeed, yeah, Dani the Donkey, number 1, Arca 50, number 10. Some people here in the spectator room are saying, I don't think you guys can actually see that if you're watching the stream, but they're saying, you know, some people are speculating that there might be a few bots here. I don't know if anybody is cheating here, but I would be pretty surprised. I certainly would imagine that there's a far lesser frequency of far lesser number of cheats, just because than in your typical tournament, just because these guys are, you know, verified. They go through some kind of verification process. So and so far, out of everything that I've seen, I haven't seen anything that looks bot like. Okay, so this should be just a draw. Rook c7 and just pick up the pawn, and then all the pawns come off the board, and now they're playing. And notice here, by the way, there was no rook takes h4 here. No. But okay, in the end, they did agree to a peaceful draw. Some people are saying that they're thinking GM Dani Gormali, maybe Dani the Donkey. It's a possibility in theory, but I don't know. I mean, I've seen Dani Gormali play a little bit, and he's of course a very strong player. You know, I've seen him play Blitz. I would be very, very surprised if he was able to show this kind of consistency, this kind of level against this field in Bullet. But who knows? So Queen d4, Bishop g5. This knight on f6 is in some trouble here. The bishop is on g4. The knight on a5 is also in a little bit of trouble, and that's getting a hit here, and the pawn on b5 now falls. c7 is also falling. Knight a7 is a nice touch with knight c6 rerouting. So again, very, very kind of masterful. Knight b3. The point being rook takes a1. Very smooth way of just moving the pieces. These guys, both players, right? Rook takes a2 on this spot. The point being, if rook takes, rook a1 check, and if bishop here, bishop h3. So they spot these tactics instantly, but h3 is now giving him something to think about here with his bishop and the knight both hanging. So maybe that was a little too fancy, and Toivok's gone into the tank. He's down to 10 seconds. It looks like Toivok is out of this game. Maybe he got disconnected, or maybe he just, as we say, rage quit. Figlud has paused the event. He's on 87 points, so I don't know when he will be back. Where is Penguin? Penguin is here. Penguin is on fire. Okay, Penguin is on fire, and he's in 4th place. 34 minutes. We really want somebody to step up to the plate here. Georg Meyer with 90 points. He's got a 20-point gap. 34 minutes to go. He really needs... This is a huge game. Okay, Georg Meyer with the black pieces. We need to see a win from Georg Meyer. Otherwise, Dani the Donkey is just going to run away with it. So we've got some kind of King's Indian attack. Do we? There's a pawn falling. Georg Meyer, does he have a chance here to complicate things? Okay, well, I mean, he has the d-file under control, beautifully placed knight, very, very strongly placed queen, although that can be dislodged. Maybe queen g5, just hitting the rook. Trying to get in some kind of rook d2. For instance, here's a very nice idea, by the way, which not to be sort of cruel, but there was a Penguin in that GM norm, when he got his last GM norm, there was some kind of tactic, right? Rook takes, knight takes, rook takes, queen takes, and then knight f3 check, right? So this would be very, very similar idea, and it was actually, I was just reminded from that specific game here. I don't know if it actually worked, but if you guys are familiar with this game, I say not to be cruel because he was kind of, well, I don't think it was said in a cruel way, but he was sort of poked fun at for missing a tactic that he typically wouldn't miss. Appreciate that, Jim. So what's going on here? I'm seeing Georg Meyer in good shape here, and the queens have come off the board. That's a really good point. Knight b4. This pawn on c3 is problematic. Notice white simply cannot approach it, but he does have this majority here, and he is actually, I don't know if black should have, well, I guess black had no choice. Knight c5, pawn takes. Oh wow, that's amazing play by Dani. The donkey is definitely not going to lose this game. Will he be fast enough to either checkmate Georg with 0.2 seconds on the clock? He is not. Georg holds a draw in the end, but I'm not so sure that that's going to be enough. That's a win there for Dani, I think. Not as much of a win as an actual win, right? But that's a pretty big win. So did this already happen? I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, so Dani is now playing against Penguin. Yeah, that was a very important game, Nose Knows All. And in the end, I don't know, was it a fair result or not. It seemed like Georg was just pressing for a long time, and then something happened. So here, Dani has planted a donkey on e5, and that's a very, very tough donkey to dislodge, because you don't want to give up this bishop, and if you challenge it like this, well, knight f4 was coming in, and that was going to hit here, so black went knight h5 in order to prevent this, but now takes, and that knight on e5 is not going to leave the board anytime soon unless you give up the bishop. But if you do that, that's going to be a problem, and if you exchange these bishops, then this bishop is going to be better. I'm surprised at this exchange of knight takes bishop here, but I guess the point is he wants to open up the e-file. That rook on e5 is going to be a monster. Rook e7, rook e6, and it's just game over for the Penguin. Rook takes c6. It's just a clean piece. A lot of pressure there. Probably I would have liked bishop d6, bishop e5, unless there's some, some concrete problem with it. There might have been some queen d7 or something like that. But I mean, if you can actually plant the bishop on this bishop on e5, then it's an amazing piece. Although, to be fair, maybe white is wanting this bishop to just keep this pawn at bay. Queen is coming in, now bishop b4, maybe rook takes g6 even. Queen takes, and bishop takes, and the bishop will get back in time in order to stop the pawn. So the rest should be trivial, time edge as well, so it's just game over. Yes, Michael, oh, that's exactly it. Yeah, queen takes h4 and knight f3 check. The second last game, that was it. Euphoric Batman, I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. So Pengu indeed got wrecked, Chessbay, as you so eloquently put it. The donkey is too strong, Bakus. We've got a lot of carnage there, carnage talk. So let's see what's happening here between Dani and Georg Meyer, who is showing himself to be an extremely strong bullet player. We all know he's a very strong FIDE player, and also a very strong blitz player. But here he's doing it in bullet. So let's see, f5. Is Dani the donkey once again in control? Bishop h6, very nice move. The point if queen takes f2 is happening, and then here is falling. Rook takes g3 is the threat because the king is on fire. Some bishop f5 may happen. Again, no concerns for this rook. And if you go queen here, maybe, oh wow, bishop e4. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, what a move. Bishop e4 on the spot. Queen takes e4. The point is f2 is hanging. Queen takes f2, right? And if king h3, queen takes g3. And if king h1, I can't even see a continuation, but I'm assuming that there was something quiet like rook takes g3 and there's just too many threats. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe at this point I'm just giving the donkey too much respect, but I think that out of all the players, queen g4 there in this position here, queen g4, king g2 only move, and then the bishop was falling because bishop e3 was disconnecting the rook. But anyway, out of all the players so far, I'm just most impressed by Dani the donkey in terms of the consistency. And when that happens, the thing is, when one player impresses you, what happens is you start giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? You start thinking, you know, oh, you know, they throw a piece at you and or pawn at you, you can't take it because if you take it, you're going to lose. They throw a piece at you, you also can't take it because you're going to lose. And in the end, you lose, you know, independent of whether you take the piece or not. I'm not sure really that my story has a point, but let's carry on. Let's keep on going. Dani is now playing against Gene Edge. He's a beast. And I don't mean Dani in this particular case. Of course, he's also a beast. But Gene Edge is a monster of a chess player. I find him incredibly tactically resourceful. So let's see what's happening here. Yeah, let's see what happens here in this particular game. So some unusual development here by Dani. What's the material count? It's approximately equal, but again, this h5 h4 stuff, I mean, could it be not Dani Gormali but another famous British grandmaster by the name of Simon Williams? Could it be? This is of course a reference to the what he's now made famous, the famous Harry the H pawn, that he is very much in favor of pushing up the board. But here, I mean, Dani is just sweeping his opponents. Of course, these are very dangerous ideas to do when you're playing bullet. There's a lot of pressure here against g2, probably bishop g4, queen e3, and maybe just knight takes g2, just straight away here. The point being, if knight takes, king takes, then bishop f3 check and mate on g2 on the next move. But he's content to just exchange pieces. He's got an enormous lead on time, which is no mean feat against Gene Edge. Gene Edge is a very fast player, and probably e3 is coming up next because the rook cannot be taken, and e2 with the knight on g2 even controlling this square. So that's really quite nice. Let me fire up the next Def Not Ginger GM. Yeah, people are saying that it's definitely not. Yeah, guys, I'm pretty much with you guys. I don't think that it's the ginger GM. Okay, so he's playing Oscar Ardilla here. I'm gonna grab some water. I might even grab a tea, and yeah, other than that, I'll be right back. So enjoy the game. Sorry guys, for the second time he doesn't click on the TV icon that auto redirects. Yes, I really should learn that. Where is the TV icon? Although there won't be another, there won't be a third break. So I don't know where it is. I guess I won't find it till after the game. So the knight is just not going anywhere here. It's trapped. And Dani picks up that knight, and so he's up a piece. A6 is probably a nice move. Now maybe just rook b6, the point being rook takes c6, or just bishop c4 because the rook is defending. Knight c8 is a nice idea. Rook takes f7 now is falling. f6, this is a pretty trivial win unless there's some kind of, no, this is just going to be checkmate. F takes g7. So 18 minutes left. Bhama Granite has somehow made it into the second place. He's on 108 points. Dani is playing against Penguin. Let's take a look. Penguin needs to win here in order to, you know, in order to basically give the rest of the players. I'm not even sure if Penguin himself has a chance at this point, but we need Dani to lose if we want this to be, if we don't want a clear winner with 6 or 7 minutes to go. I think if Dani just picks up the next 3 or 4 games at most, I think that's just that. And it looks like he's going to win this one. He's up a piece. And queen h5 is the threat. I think queen h5 anyway, and just bishop takes g3, queen here is the threat. Nothing to do, and Penguin just resigns. So now Dani is how many points? 19 points clear. So he's 19 points clear. Thankfully for Bhama Granite and for Georg Meyer, they've both got the streak, but we need to see they're both playing. So this is an extremely important game here for between the two. What's going on? We've got black is up. Black is just up a piece this night, this extra knight here. But rook h8 was a very strong threat, and now rook g8. Bishop will have to go back. Queen takes e4. f5. Now the king is extremely weak. It's not clear what's actually going on here. And what am I saying that black is up a piece? White just has an extra rook. So it's actually should be game over here. Maybe rook here. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it looked to me like that was just going to be winning here. Just rook here, and if pawn takes, rook takes would be winning. But this, of course, is also winning. Sorry guys, I cost you the last few moves here. Just g3, forcing the win of the queen, and then the bishop. So that was way easier than the fancy rook e4. So at this point, it's Bhama Granite against Dani the Donkey. These two guys, Dani the Donkey is playing against Shaposhnikov. So anybody who's rooting for some tension towards the end, we need to see Shaposhnikov win. He's just uncorked. Bishop takes d4. Now g5. Very nice play by Shaposhnikov. Very experienced grandmaster here. The point is, if f takes, now bishop takes e5. I want to take. I'm not sure if that actually wins though, because white has the outside passer even though he's down a pawn. So that's why black probably just played it safe and gave this check. Now d4. It's looking pretty comfortable for rook b3 at the very least. King e2, king here. Okay, this is looking good. Again, very difficult for the white king to enter the position. Man, it's just nobody knows. King c2, a7, d2. Okay, nobody knows. Okay, I don't know, I think is a better way to put it. But bishop e3, queen f1, bishop f4. It's game over. Shaposhnikov has beaten Dani the Donkey. Dani the Donkey has actually lost an absolutely critical game. Now it's 15 minutes to go, and it's anybody's game between Dani the Donkey and Bhama Granite. Even though Dani the Donkey is up 354 rating points in this event, Bhama Granite is actually performing 108 below his original rating. That doesn't matter though. There's 7 points between them, and they're actually now fighting it out in this game. Dani the Donkey has the center here. Bhama Granite, however, has very nice active pieces. This bishop is coming in. There's a lot of threats. Black still has his king in the center of the board. White doesn't. So white will try and keep... Notice how he tries to keep the queens on the board. Black is trying to just castle. Maybe at some point go f5 and e4 and storm white with this strong pawn center. And actually the knight has nowhere to go. So that's a huge deal. Bishop takes, however, just hitting this point. And I would have thought here bishop g6 check, king f8, and then and only then f4 would have kept things alive. But here he's allowed castling, and I think that now I think the Dani is in serious control. Bishop takes e4, queen takes, and then this knight falling is the threat. I would just probably take b6 and queen c6 next move. He's probably going for queen d5, maybe knight d5. But queen d5, he's up a piece. h5 probably just to break up this structure at some point. But he throws in b6 and rook c8. Oh, I thought for a second it was a mistake because the knight takes e3 defending. But after d takes, rook takes, the knight is also defending. Bishop f4, a rook back. Knight d5 with knight c3, knight b4, and even knight f6 ideas. Even rook takes c4 with knight e4, knight takes b4, and it's game over. King e4 only move. The rook is falling. Bhama Granite just got destroyed there with the black pieces. So Dani clinches an extremely important game. Had it gone the other way around, the score would have been almost level. But like this, Dani is back in command. Let's see what's happening. Dani is facing off against our I don't even know, our Spanish grandmaster friend that we were railing in the beginning of the tournament, but then he sort of disappeared as Dani the Donkey has been dominating the event. But now he's back and he's playing here a pretty, I would say, pretty typical structure here, and we're kind of going for a minority attack with the black pieces with this b4 break. So it's like a reverse Carlsbad structure, I believe. And now b4 is happening here. Pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, and we have the consequences of that minority attack. But I mean, of course, tactics are the name of the game here, and so white is just organizing pressure here, and white only has one real weakness. This should just objectively be equal, although probably, I mean, it's hard to know who I would prefer to play. Wow, rook takes f7. The point is if rook takes queen b8 and it's just game over. I was gonna say that probably it's a little easier to play as white because your pieces are active, so it's more likely that you're gonna get in some kind of tactical shot. In my view, maybe slightly premature resignation here. Maybe you could just go rook c8, but I guess again, a lot of respect for Dani, or maybe I'm just missing some important point here. Let's return to the tournament and let's see what is happening here. So 131 versus 122, and Dani is on a streak. So if Dani actually wins this against Georg Meyer, I think we have a winner. Tona Rotella points out that a lot of the times in the arena, it's correct to resign early in order to get more games in. that's actually almost certainly what's going on there, because that's a very good point. Because from my perspective, I'm thinking don't resign early. You know, we want to see as much suspense as possible. But from Macrophago's perspective, he doesn't care about first place. I mean, I'm sure he does, but he doesn't expect to get first place. He wants maybe third place, something like this. I don't know how many prizes there are. And so he just is maximizing his chances for a prize, I'm assuming. Either that or he's been you know, he's been crushed by Dani the Donkey enough times that he's demoralized. I'm just speculating, but I know that feeling is very much real when certain players have you know, over the years, I believe the term that's being popularized these days is adopted you, right? So if certain players adopt you, after a while you get you don't want to fight on in horrible positions. Okay, so what's going on? 133 to 122. No win streak for either for any of the top 3 players. Where is Macrophago? Macrophago is in 9th, unlikely to cash. I don't believe there's more than 5 prizes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so here we've got Penguin against Dani the Donkey. Where is Penguin? He's on 107. He's the only one on a streak. 10 minutes left. Penguin needs a miracle here. He's certainly, if Penguin does anything other than win, I think he's just out of contention. Very solid play by Dani here. The knight on e5, the bishop on f4. Very solid pieces, a little bit of a space advantage. Easy development, nice doubled rooks on the e file. And now this rook is in serious trouble, and actually, you know, exploiting those dark squared weaknesses and just hitting it. And okay, nothing better to do than to just go back to a8. And Dani toys with him and then eventually grabs the rook. So now it's a clean exchange and a very, very, very safe position here for white. The queen is still out of play. The bishop is pinned. Honestly, this is close to resignable. Maybe bishop e5 is coming in, so just a bunch of exchanges of pieces. Rook takes e8 is probably going to happen next move, and that's that. King takes e8 is best, but queen takes g7, and then knight f6 is coming in. Queen e5 is coming in. Queen g8 if you just want to exchange the queens. There are many, many moves here that will. Queen takes is nice shot, because if king takes, this is the point. So instant tactics, king takes, queen e5, checkmate is the point. I mean, just instant vision. I mean, this is really a masterclass here. And I gotta say that, you know, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but at this point I just feel like, you know, like Dani deserves it, right? I mean, he's shown such class in the games that we've seen that you know, that it would feel a little bit harsh if Granite, but then again, we're being biased because we haven't seen as many of Granite's games. So who knows? Look, may the best man win, but I think at this point it's a 2-horse race here, or shall I say a horse and a donkey race. I'm sorry, it's been 2 hours of streaming this and it's getting to me. So let's pretend I didn't make that joke, and let's carry on. What's happening here? It's Pab Gyula against Dani the Donkey. No exchange of queens for Dani. With this move d5, knight b3, knight a4, hitting there on b2, and Pap, I believe Pap won a game, right, against Dani. So okay, so king h7, probably some queen e5, bishop e7 is gonna be very problematic here for the queen if black is not careful. Although if white is not careful, although white of course is threatening to take this pawn. I think that he's just going to grab the pawn, and he has to watch out for some knight f6 ideas, so he doubles up, so now he's okay. Knight b4, rook takes d2 is a possibility. The white knights are a little bit, they're not really doing too much, and in fact knight takes b2 here is a potential threat. Queen e5, the queens come off the board. The knight, for a second I thought the bishop was falling. I think it is actually. Pawn takes, rook takes, knight takes, knight c4, very fast chess, but maybe knight here or knight here. And Pab Gyula may be about to sort of, you know, spoil things for the donkey here. Pab Gyula is a tough cookie, and he's actually only played one game against Dani the Donkey. He's won that game. and now we're seeing him once again putting the squeeze on the donkey. But 4 seconds to go, 9. He's got twice as much time. The pawn on c6 has fallen. That's huge. Now there are checks. The knight has fallen. Oh man, what's going on here? Pap Gyula just too slow, basically. I mean, you know, he played great chess, but in the end, just too slow. Thank you, ChessBay94. I'll pass the I'll pass the comment to my grandmother. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. So let's see what's going on here. So are we? Can we just check the score? We've got 137 versus 122. We've got 15-point gap here. I'm just, and he's on fire as well. I'm just not seeing any other serious contender here. I'm not sure that it's even possible 15 points to bridge this gap. Very nice touch, rook check. Typical deflection, the queen falls, and we're, yeah, the gap is a 20-point gap. I think, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys want to continue to watch? Do you guys want to continue to watch Dani, or? I mean, I guess we better watch Dani, right? Even though he's, I mean, at this point it's over, it's game over, but it's Dani against Bhama Granite here. Knight takes, c takes, bishop takes a8. Sometimes this is a theoretical idea, but I think not here. And I think usually there's some kind of, you know, knight d5 stuff, so that at least black has to give up this bishop, because if e4, knight b6, something like this. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about these lines, but okay. This pawn on c3 is very, very strong, though. Even though white is up in exchange, this pawn is a real pest here. So anything can happen. Now it's two connected passers. Although the white bishops are very strong. Bishop f1, if queen c5, bishop e3. So that's why queen a4 is happening. Queen takes a4, b takes a4. I guess the knight was defended. So bishop d3 instead. The pawn on d5 is falling. So the pawn on b5 is now falling. Not too sure what's going on here. The knight, I think, was just falling here. Rook takes knight, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's looking like Bhama Granite is going to certainly not lose this game. He's trying to squeeze here for a win. What he wants to do is he wants to win this pawn, which I think he's actually going to succeed in doing. He wants to win the pawn without losing anything else. Bishop e6 preventing here, and now just trying to sort of stabilize into something like a fortress. And I think actually after rook takes e6 it is I'm not sure if the rest was a draw, but I think this is a fortress. I'm not too sure if Bhama Granite couldn't have, you know, played a little bit more ambitiously than this. He's going to try and flag him, which is of course the absolutely best, absolutely correct thing to do in Bullet. Bullet is a dirty game by nature, right? So you know, no hard feelings in that respect. I don't think. If you play faster than your opponent, it is what it is. Not to take away from people who offer the draw in those situations. I just think you know, you can play it either way, but in a tournament setting, it's fair enough. So we've got 1 minute left, 1 minute to go, and we've got Dani the Donkey playing against international master Lovelace, who is hold on a second, let me just, so that I don't make a fool of myself, he is a Lichess moderator, streamer, and a coach, Lovelace. I just wanted to confirm his particular credentials. So he's taking on, probably going to be playing the last game in this Lichess $1,000 prize pool inaugural titled arena. It's been a very, very intense event, very, very high level game. I don't know how the competitors have felt. I hope you guys as the viewers have enjoyed you know, the stream, the quality, the high level chess. And I'm sure that Lichess will be open. I don't know in which way or form, but I'm sure Lichess will be open to any feedback, you know, good or bad, as to how it went and as to how future editions might go. So, but yeah, but now what's left of this, I think we're just going to be seeing, Lovelace. We're going to be seeing Lovelace put a little bit of the tournament. The clock is finished, but Lovelace is going to put a little bit of a dent, right? A little bit of a damper on the victory here. He's up a clean piece. He's got 11 seconds against 12. He just has to avoid not getting swindled. The queens are off the board. This is very, very unlikely to be a swindle unless h4 happens. Oh, this could be very nasty swindle here. Lovelace is doing a fantastic job, but eventually he's down to 0.5 seconds. Will he be able to checkmate? Will he be able to get there in time? He's down to 0. No, he does not get there, unfortunately. It would have been very nice, of course, rooting for the Lichess moderator, streamer, coach, and of course the underdog in this particular match, but he gets a draw in the end with a time swindle from Dani the Donkey. But okay, this is just one game overall over the course of the tournament. What can I say? Dani the Donkey with an incredible performance, and a very, very, very deserved victory. Almost 70% win rate, as you can see. Bhama, Granite, and Penguin either 60%, or in Penguin's case just barely scraped over 60%. Although, to be fair to Penguin, a Berserk rate of 18% in this field is really quite incredible, that you're able to log a win rate of 62% with that kind of a Berserk rate. So very, very impressive from Penguin. Yeah, so, well, I don't know what else to say, guys. Let me just check the chat a little bit. But congrats to Lovelace. Pity there that in the last game he wasn't able to really put the heat on, right, with the last game. Chessbase says these tournaments aren't about the cash as much as the honor. I definitely think that, you know, when you have such a strong field, I mean, if you think of it in terms of your chances, even if you're a GM, of actually winning this for the amount of time, you know, if you're a strong GM, you can probably spend that time doing something else and, you know, make the money, right? So I think that the money is a factor, but I do think that Chessbay is onto something when she says that there's a huge element of pride and honor in these events, and also just competitiveness, right? I think strong players like to play against strong players. They like the challenge. They thrive off the challenge. So what else is happening here? Static Shadow says that he wants to see some 3+2. I'm sure, I don't know what, I wasn't involved at all in the process of what the time control is or what the future plans are. I don't personally know, but as I'm sure you guys all know, Lichess is very generally very, I think it's fair to say, generally very receptive to user feedback and user comments. So I'm pretty sure that you know, if you have any particular feedback, whether it's about the time control or anything else at all, I'm sure that there'll be some way of, you know, some good channel to communicate that, through. So what is the prize money? Michael O says first prize was $500, so that went to Dani the Donkey. $250 to Bhama Granite. $125 for Penguin GIM. So all grandmasters in the top 3. Had it been even a month or 2 ago, we would say that Penguin would still have been an IM, and so we would have had in the top, you know, 3, we would have had one non-GM. But in this case, at this point, man, if we want to get to a non-GM, we got to go down all the way to number 9, 12-teen, who is just an exceptionally strong national master. And then we've got our Spanish friend, Macrofago, in 10th spot, a very, very strong bullet player. So let's run down the list. Let's see the top 20 of 188 entrants. The top 20 in 20th place, a Norwegian IM, Joa Bien. In 19th place, a FIDE master. I don't know who he is. Tilichev, something like this. 18th place, Grandmaster Figlud. 17th place, Magic Andy. In 16th place is, I believe, also a streamer, Asaf Givon, Israeli International Master. Oscar Ardilla, Candidate Master, with a, have to admit, quite impressive 920 point jump, although perhaps it was his first time playing or one of his first times playing on the site. Lovelace, Lichess, moderator, streamer, coach. He's there with a very, very respectable performance in 14th place, gaining almost 100 rating points. Gene Edge, I think a little bit below his usual incredibly high standard. He comes in 13th place. No idea who GM Chopper 1905 may be. Shaposhnikov. Then finally we move on to 10th place. Let me just, sorry, 1 second. So I am just being distracted here by my other screen. Yeah, okay, excuse me. So we'll move on to number 10. As I say, we're revisiting number 10. We've got Macrofago, strong Spanish Grandmaster. We've got 12-teen. He is a, I really don't know who he is, but I mean, I'm always amazed whenever there's a national master who has this kind of a rating, because people think that, you know, maybe tactics alone will get you to this level, but no, you have to have a lot of qualities that I think also will translate to the real life chessboard to have that kind of a rating. So I'm sure he's a very, very talented player. Perhaps, I don't know. I won't speculate on why he doesn't have a higher title. I'm sure that he has. I mean, this is an indication that he has more than enough talent to get one, given the opportunity. John Ludwig Hammer, Norwegian number 2 in 8th place, and I'm not sure of his current rating, but I do know for quite some time 2700-ish FIDE rated player. So that tells you, you know, almost everything you need to know, right? 8th place for a 2700 FIDE rated player. Pap Gula, very, very strong Hungarian Grandmaster. Let me just check if Arca 50 he is officially from Switzerland. I don't know what's going on here. I do know that I've played against him a bunch of times. Against Arca 50, I've played against him 25 times. I've scored 7 wins and 18 losses. So that goes to show you, you know, probably I would have ended up somewhere around here at best, right, in this event. So I wasn't too worried about the opportunity cost of not playing this event, right? Though it would have been fun facing off against these guys, right? Because Arca comes 6th in 6th place, and the guy is just an absolute monster. The warning, no idea about who the warning may be. Georg Meyer, again near 2700 player. Penguin, He may not be a 2700 player. He's just recently made his GM title, so I assume he's around the 2500 mark. But I mean, when it comes to Bullet, I think very few people have any doubt that he is, you know, just as strong, if not stronger, than the typical 2700 player. So absolute monster there. And again, Bhama, Granite, and Dani the Donkey, two real mysteries of this particular event. You know, both of them were going into the event, well, maybe not Dani the Donkey, but certainly Bhama Granite was going into the event with as one of the favorites, and he you know, very nearly scooped up the tournament. I mean, a nasty streak towards the end slowed him down, but not much of a point difference. Overall, though, we saw a lot of Dani the Donkey's play, and what can I say? It was really amazing play, and there is nothing to be done other than to congratulate him on his win. And hopefully we'll see more of these tournaments or more of Dani the Donkey in the future. Thanks to everyone, by the way, for everybody, you know, everybody's comments. Really appreciate the kind comments on the stream, on my commentary. So that's really awesome. I used to, for those of you who don't know, I used to stream quite a bit, but you know, life gets in the way, right? So I haven't had so much of a chance to stream, but it's always, you know, this opportunity to stream came along. I happily took it, and you know, whenever you get nice commentary, it's always a very fast reminder. Very good reminder of why you know, why I started commenting in the first place, and why, you know, from time to time you get this kind of, you miss it, right? So let's see what's happening on. Okay, so excuse me, so in the chat somebody is saying, check this out, guys. Oh man, this is a spectacle. I think some people were speculating that that a certain Mr. Chessbra was Dani the Donkey, but you know, I know that this is Chessbras plural, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I suspect that this is the Chessbra, right, Mr. Hansen. And what's the score so far? It's 2-piece. So this is very, very interesting. This is almost like, you know, what do you call this? Like the Battle of the Champions or something like this, you know, where you know, Dani the Donkey is this kind of mystery player, mystery grandmaster, and then of course Chessbras. Almost everybody who's you know, tuning into the stream, I think, will know who he is and how talented he is as a player overall, but as a bullet player, he's a specialist. He's a specialist. So here he is. Here he is playing, and I think that if Dani the Donkey manages to, you know, turn this deficit here of 3-2, this early deficit, into some kind of crushing lead or something like that, then that would really be amazing. On the other hand, so far it's been well, I won't say it's been all Chessbra, right? But it's been 3-2. It's anybody's game. Just catching up with the chat while I'll tune into the games in a second. So what's going on here? We've got a 3-2 piece, but we've got a lot of pawns. A lot of pawns for Dani the donkey. And a lot of time. So that is 3 apiece. So a lot of people are saying here, you know, I think they're speculating that it's Dubov. Somebody is saying, yeah, I don't think Dani is a super GM based off this series now. Some people are saying he's about the same level as Hansen. Keep in mind that it's true, it's 3-piece. Keep in mind that Hansen is 26-20-ish, something like that. But he's no average 26-20 when it comes to bullet chess. I mean, you know, he's a monster. He's a real monster bullet chess player. I think that you know, he plays a lot. I mean, I watch sometimes his matches against Nakamura, and of course Nakamura is such a monster that he makes Eric feel, makes Eric seem like maybe not as much of a monster. But having played against Eric, the guy's the real deal, right? Which I'm sure nobody doubts. He's a beast. So I would still have faith that Dani the Donkey is a strong grandmaster. If we see some, you know, 15-5 in favor of Hansen, then I'll change my evaluation. But for now, the night is young, right? It's 4-3, and there's a lot of volatility in these bullet matches. So okay, so I don't know how much more I'll comment, but let's comment a little bit here. E6 is looking strong here, hitting the rook and hitting the queen. So we've got 4 apiece. Bishop c5 is probably going to come up after this, because if you take this pawn, bishop takes e4, and things are very messy. But bishop takes e4 anyway can be played. C6 is a nice move. King probably to c7, but then again rook c1 stuff. And here knight e6, b5 to weaken, soften up this diagonal. Bishop g4. Wow, f3 is a nice touch. The point is you still can't take this because of the rook. So just coolly taking this pawn. Rook c4 is guarded against. And it's okay, now he's going up to scoop this pawn. King f4 will however pick it up. So what do we have? We have 4 pawns against 4. This pawn on a2 has to be guarded against. King on d5 is a little bit dodgy, as we say here in Ireland. A little bit dodgy. So king d6, knight e5, knight d5. The pawn on g4 is hanging. And maybe some like knight e4, because the point is if bishop takes, then c2. I suspect he's going for bishop b3. I guess no, knight d4 is very strong here. And it's game over here. Dani the donkey should be picking this one up. Just knight takes a3 or knight d4. Knight d4 just dominates this knight. So Dani is now in the lead, 5-4. White here dominating again, the knight and the queen and the bishop. Everything is just better placed. There's going to be some tactics if black is not careful. Black is reduced to passivity here because queen c8, for instance, then just takes, and this pawn on c7 is falling. So king e8 is a smart idea just to get queen d7 in. But the thing is, this isn't an actual threat because knight takes and takes. But now he forces the exchange. So very well played by Chessbraz. So I'm actually not 100%. I'm assuming that this is Hansen, but if somebody has knowledge that it's one of the other Chessbraz or anything like that, please do let me know. 93. Okay, bishop f8 is the point. The pawns are just going to be falling here. The pawn on c5 shouldn't be too dangerous. Knight d5, for instance, and the pawn will be blockaded on c3. And on the other hand, you know, bishop and knight here against the two knights. Bishop and knight is stronger. But then again, the white pawns are a little tricky to advance as well. I guess just, okay, bishop e3, controlling this very nicely. Bishop a5, just scoop up the pawn. Knight takes will cover c2. Scooping everything up. Bishop takes is not necessary, but okay, time was a problem. So 6-4, 10 games have elapsed, and we've got a 2-game lead for the donkey. So 7-4, this is a nice 3-point edge here. And Dani the donkey, with the momentum, he's picked up the last four games in a row. He started off 0-2, and now it's now it's 7-4. So things are changing, and they're changing pretty fast. But again, still early days. 7-4 is 11 games. It's nothing. It's nothing in the game of high stakes bullet, you know. So we'll see how things continue. I'm a bit burnt out, guys, by the way, so the commentary will be a little bit more sporadic, but I kind of just am curious about this match, right? So I just want to stay with you guys for a little bit longer afterwards. Depending on how long this goes, we'll see, you know. I mean, it'd be awesome if somebody else could maybe take my place, so that Lichess has a stream running. I mean, I think that this is a special match here because we've got one of the most, I think it's not an understatement to say he's one of the most just one of the best bullet players and certainly one of the most well-known bullet players in the world. And at the same time, we've got Dani the Donkey, who just took down the tournament that that led to this stream, which was the inaugural Lichess titled arena. So yeah, to return to that, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys sort of enjoyed the pace. I don't know how it was for the players. I don't know how it was for the commentators overall. I've been keeping a very loose eye on the actual chat. But yeah, anyway, to get back to this match, it's a really interesting one because of the caliber of these two players. So here it looks like we're just going to fizzle out into a draw, unless the flagging may be strong here. The flagging is strong. Hansen is, wow, draw. I think that there was a threefold repetition. This is very impressive because Hansen is he's insanely fast, right? So to not get flagged there is no joke. I'm liking, well, I don't know about this position. I'm kind of liking it a little bit more for black here. Although the pawns are aggressive, I think that there are a lot of problems here on b2, and this particular structure can be quite strong, right? So b2 is being attacked, then the knight is going to be attacked, and there's going to be some queen a3 check with c5, c4 ideas in the mix, also a5, a4 ideas in the mix. The problem is f5 is coming in very fast, then again takes, and bishop h5. But yeah, h6 just to take care of that. c5 is now coming in. Maybe at some point some d4. If f6, on the one hand you damage the black kingside structure. We see this c5, c4 thing mentioned previously. f6 on the one hand may damage things, or f takes e6 even, but you also got to be careful with how you time that, because this bishop will come alive once you do that. c3 at some point is probably going to happen. If knight takes, then we've got queen takes e5, rook f8 here. Queen takes f8 would be the problem, I think. Take everything, and then knight takes e6 with check. But queen b4, and there may just not be anything here. There may just not be anything. We've got queen b2, we've got queen takes d4. Knight b3 will only temporarily block. a4 is going to happen. If rook here, rook c4 may be an option, but I think just queen b5, or, you know, yeah, queen b5. The question, I guess, is if knight d4, queen check takes, and bishop takes c2. No, but knight d4 would have defended this pawn. So I'm not sure if it was strictly necessary to give up the piece. After that, it was game over, and sorry once again, guys, for robbing you of the last few moves. So I don't know, by the way, guys, if this is actually... Let me just check. Is this... So the stream is still called Lichess.org titled Arena. Should I change, guys? Should I get with the times and change the title? Yay or nay? I don't even... I'm ashamed to admit I'm not even sure exactly where I'm supposed to go in order to immediately change the title. So I'm trying to figure out this title change thing, but people aren't taking me seriously. I am not being taken seriously. So let's see what is happening here. Okay, I can change it to... I liked the suggestion of like Lichess Deathmatch or something like this. Lichess GM Deathmatch. Because this seems... I don't know what we're witnessing exactly. Although, Jesus, it's 10.5, 5.5. That's almost a 2:1 ratio here. Yeah, I mean, this is heating up. And here after rook f6, king g7, oh, even better, knight g4. The donkey picks up another win. So this is really, you know what? Let's just change it to, you know, let's just change it to what it is. Let's call it, I don't know, man. GM Deathmatch. Hold on. Lichess.org. I think Lichess.org is fair enough, because I think you have to actually have that, and then let's just call it GM Deathmatch for now. You guys can tell me if tell me a better title at some point. Petko, I think at this point, I think at this point I'm gonna start. You know, I'm gonna start accepting them, right? Given the price that they're at. But this is not a personal stream. So if anybody wants to support this stream, I mean, I liked the tournament idea. I don't know. I'm not getting this, you know, this comment from the team or anything. So I hope it's not against from the Lichess team. So I hope it's not against the rules or anything. But you know, if you like the site, if you like what Lichess are doing, then by all means go ahead onto the you can become a patron on Lichess. You can make a donation. And you know, the money will go, will go towards the continuing, you know, development of Lichess, which is just gaining, you know, consistently has been gaining popularity and always adding new features, etc. It's an amazing site. So if you're of that opinion, then go on over to Patreon, and I think that whatever, I don't think that they accept in Bitcoin, but you know, perhaps in the future as well, right? The important point is that yeah, this isn't a personal stream, and yeah, I think I'm repeating myself, so hopefully that was clear. Knight c6, Dani the Donkey. We've got 5 wins in a row, and now this marks a 6th win. And yeah, and Tony Rotella makes a good point. Please become a patron so this kind of event can happen more often. I mean, I think that that is one of the challenges of being a completely free site. As you can see in the banner, it's lichess.org, free online chess. You don't have to pay to pay, you know, in order to play. The drawback to that is that you know, it can be harder to get traction in these kind of high prize money events. But you know, it's a trade-off that that I think Lichess are more than happy to make. But nevertheless, the patron system offers I think a really cool way of supporting it and helping to promote these kind of events. So anyway, going back to the chess itself, what's happening here is Dani the Donkey is nearly at, you know, he's nearly at 29. I mean, he's crossed the 2900 threshold, and it'll be very interesting to see if this domination continues, because it started. You know, people were saying, you know, Chessbra is sort of showing that Dani the Donkey may not have been a high caliber GM, but the tide has turned here. Although in this particular position, I think Dani the Donkey is in a lot of trouble, and he actually instantly resigns. The point is that Queen d8 could defend, but even after exchanging all the heavy pieces, the b-pawn would decide. So some very interesting very interesting opinions on this match. Petko, for instance, says 6 in a row versus Eric. It can only be Carlsen or Naka. On the other hand, just in the line before that, Hedgehogs for me says that he doesn't think Donkey is a super GM, as Hansen has been consistently getting better positions and then blundering. I have to admit, I haven't really been looking at the position, looking at the games, but let's take a look. Some bishop takes e5 stuff maybe, but you don't really want to give up that piece. And now the bishop on d6, that's a very strong piece. So we're looking at some nice pieces here for white, and we've got a material edge, we've got an extra pawn, probably wants to you know, move this pawn up the board, but instead seems to be sort of working on this queen, king, and the pawn on e6 as well. Maybe just exchange the queens, h4, h5. Nice cementing some advantage, but here after pawn takes, and knight b6, I don't think you can defend the pawn, so that was a blunder. And now I think that objectively speaking, it should be a draw. Still a lot better though for white, I feel, because the black bishop is trapped here. You can't really play bishop f8. Knight c5, for example, may at some point happen, although you have to be very careful of knight e3. And now it's a different story. It should still be a draw, but now it is very much a different story. Then again, what am I talking about? We've got less than 1 second for the chess barrage. That's insane. That's 14 seconds versus 0. That is quite the edge. I mean, that's 14-15 seconds. That's again guys, like I've had the I won't say the pleasure, I'll say the privilege of playing against you know, the likes of Eric Hansen on a bunch of occasions, and you know, he has of course a very favorable score. So you know, when you know, I'm somebody who's played thousands upon thousands of bullet games over the years, and you know, you play against someone like Hansen, you know, or many of the other players who were at this Lichess titled arena, and it's a special feeling to see, you know, somebody basically just slicing through these guys, because you know firsthand how that's not easy. Like, that's no joke, right? These guys aren't, I mean, these guys aren't they're not giving the points away for free, let's put it that way. So here, interesting game. Black is just winning. He's got he's up a clean exchange of king f5. If king f5, g6 was kind of a funny move here, right? g6 check, knight takes, pawn takes, check, and king e6 check, right? Which is kind of very funny, but I think that he could have just grabbed the piece, but he must have been going for some rook f4 stuff, I don't know. And now he went for rook f4, but that's a mistake. Takes, and this is, I wonder if, yeah, I guess you can't really do anything other than this. Black is still doing very, very well here. Black is just going to scoop up all the pawns, and the rook on h1 is tied down. f3 is coming in next move because you can't take, and then g3, g2. And the a pawn in particular is a help, because there's no, like, you know, rook a4 check, bishop d4, rook takes bishop, and then you have a stalemate with the pawns the way they were. And this one's looking good for Mr. Hansen. 2 pieces against the rook. The pawns on the queen side are just sort of collapsing. Now trying to get 1 pair of rooks off the board, and then the rest is and that's it. That's the rook on d1 gone. And so the score is 16.5, 7.5. What happened here? I have become a less of a night owl in my old age, you know. For those of you who used to watch my streams, sometimes they would go on quite late, but now I'm feeling tired, old and tired. So anyway, rook g1. I guess what that means is I don't know if this match goes on 2 or 3 hours. I guess I won't be able to make the commentary for it, but nevertheless, okay. Knight takes h3 is obviously what's being calculated, but maybe rook takes g6, knight takes, rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, and the point is, you know, if king here, rook h6. Yeah. Black, I mean, I like black's position here. Black it has level material. a5 though is strong. I probably would have tried to avoid a5, like maybe just played a5 myself here, because after a5 now the queen side is going to be a little bit easier to access. So black is rushing over with his king, pawn takes, pawn takes. White has this pawn. On the other hand, b5 is going to break that down. B takes and rook takes f4 with check is happening, and then king takes d5. So actually, Dani the donkey is doing very well, and white actually just resigns. But one of the things that's very interesting is that Dani is just absolutely massacring Hansen on the clock, right? So this is going to create a lot of pressure for Hansen. Because, you know, when you're playing against somebody who's much whoa. Okay, this is a little bit too creative, right? So not quite sure what was going on. I presume bishop d6 expected, and then queen takes d5. I mean, if there's some kind of recovery here, I will be amazed. I will be amazed here. The score 17.5, 7.5 may be impressive, but I mean, Eric Hansen isn't losing to anyone up a queen. So Chessbay is saying that Naka is playing right now on chess.com, which is very interesting because that would rule out one of you know, Eric Hansen's toughest opponents, right? And somebody who there's been speculation that it may be, but I don't know if that's actually confirmed or not that he's playing. So thank you Ornikar. I appreciate the comment. And Ornikar, for those of you who don't know him, is Thibaut himself, who is the original founder of Lichess. So excellent excellent to hear the comment. Very glad that you enjoyed the stream, and yeah, I also appreciate that I deserve a break. Sorry, I don't appreciate that I deserve a break. I appreciate the comment. If there's even a difference, I'm starting to. Okay, so here, starting to lose my train of thought. But anyway, here, by the way, just a nice little pattern: queen g8, king g6, and then queen e8 check. King has to go back to h7, and the point is, it would be bishop g8 check. King would move back to h8, bishop f7, and then either queen g8 or bishop g6. And this pattern, you can just look over the last board because I won't show it here. But this pattern is it's like that, right? For you know, I would say for almost all title players, it's just one of those that you know it like the back of your hand. So, but yeah, with respect to that comment by Ornikar, I will for sure be taking a break very, very soon. I'll probably leave, let's just say I will leave at midnight Irish time. So it's now 23:48. So I'll leave in 12 minutes. And if anybody would like to, I mean, I don't know what's happening here, if somebody is going to take over the stream or anything like that, I don't know, but they can let me know privately on Lichess or something like this. So So, okay, so it's 18.5, 9.5. Let's try and, I don't know, somewhat energetically commentate the games. I'm actually, guys, just to take it off on a different direction from chess itself, just to say I'm actually back from holidays only yesterday, and from just like traveling for like a month. So I'm really drained. Otherwise, if I was on form, I mean, for me, this is a privilege to be able to commentate and to be able to spectate this high quality of a match. They don't come around too often, but I just can't continue. But let's try and do so for the next 10 minutes. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Hansen is able to make a comeback, or if Dani the donkey is able to extend his lead here. Knight e4, there's a lot of pressure here on the knight on f6, and I'm not too sure that you can deal with that. You got to take on c2. Knight takes f6 is a smart move, because now the bishop is hanging, and so you're in time to create the discovered checks. This check is really strong. Rook e8 is extremely strong, and now knight c7, very nice move. There should be some tactics here. Worst comes to worst, just knight takes e6, but I mean, there should be something like rook takes e6, or okay, queen f6, and this is just game over. So Dani extends his lead. So we've got another game here. Bullets Brian is asking, Astaneh, will you be a regular streamer for Lichess now, or will you revive your own stream? I might revive my own stream. I mean, it wasn't really a conscious intention to stop it. It's just that, you know, at the time that I was streaming and making YouTube videos, I had a lot more time on my hands, basically. If I can make it work to return, then I'll return to my own stream. But if Lichess are running events, then, you know, and if I'm available and they're interested, then in principle, in principle I have no problem being on the Lichess stream. As most people I think will know, I pretty much only play on Lichess, and I certainly only coach on Lichess. So I'm happy to be involved with Lichess stuff insofar as I can. So rook takes g7, I don't think it's actually working here. Queen takes g7, everything is safe here. e5, the pawn is falling. This is, by the way, an extremely tricky line. It's an extremely annoying line. If you guys want to annoy your opponent, I recommend this line. a6, it's in a Benoni, and then just sack here on e3. Pawn takes, and then queen e7. This is extremely difficult in blitz. Don't play it in an over-the-board game, because if your opponent knows that you're going to play this, they can prepare against it, and there are ways to deal with it. But in real life, I think that e4 is wrong. I'm not even sure. I can never remember the antidote. But in real life, I mean, in online games, this is extremely tough because of Black's incredibly good dark squared control. So White is actually giving up the exchange here and giving up here, and actually probably ends up in a good position. The other point as well is that not only is there dark squared control, but this bishop also gets kind of hemmed in. So trust me, I mean, this is a game worth looking at if you want to sort of develop one of those like bullet specific or blitz specific repertoires that contains a lot of lines that are problematic to play against. In my view, that is right up there. $22.5 against 9.5. c6 and king c7 is a very typical idea, just to sort of kill this knight. This knight will have problems once the pawn is here on c6. And the knight on c5, on the other hand, is well placed. Normally you play something like a5 just to prevent b4. But I guess in this particular case, b4 is not really a concern because b4 would leave both b4 and c4 very weak. If bishop takes g7, I'm expecting rook g8 and then rook takes g2. Here, maybe you could have gone something like c5 to force bishop takes g2, but I guess he doesn't want to concede this square because this knight for now, as you can see, is just completely killed. And now improving the structure, white's, I think black is doing a little bit better, probably g6. g4 may be possible though because this bishop is slightly hanging. e3 is a problem. e4 could happen, pawn takes, then bishop takes, rook takes, and then this bishop is hanging. So instantly preparing something against it, and bishop h4 is crushing because there is no escape. Rook f2 is the only way to block. So amazing game. Let's see this game. Probably, okay, e4, and we're probably going to move into a King's Indian defense here. Okay, and now I have no idea what's going on. Now I have no idea what's going on, okay? But so let's see who's even better. Okay, h4, the pawn, Dani sticks to his guns. Bishop takes c3 I think is interesting. Normally you don't want to give up this particular bishop, but to damage the structure is very useful. And notice how, because giving up this bishop weakens the king, white is more inclined to take not with the queen but with the pawn. Because if you take with the queen, the point is that then after the queens come off in the board, long term, as you move towards an endgame, that structure is going to hurt you a little bit more, right? Whereas in the middle game, you want some kind of attacking chances. But at the moment, it seems like black is getting all the attacking chances. And actually here, king h2, natural desire to get off the back rank, but this bishop here is scooped up. So this game is all Eric Hansen for sure. He's up a piece, completely in control, and now he's creating some kind of mating nets around. Rook takes e6, however. No, rook takes e6, f takes e6 is the problem, and the queen is defending the rook. White's best chance is probably to do something like bishop d2, bishop c3. So, you know, to try and use the point that the king and the queen are like this, but you know, Eric is such a strong player that he knows, right? Let's just get the king off the board. Let's just get the king off such a nasty kind of the king and queens off that kind of a nasty arrangement. Now the pieces are just rolling, and black will just advance this pawn. It cannot be stopped other than, you know, attempting, you know, to bite into the pre-move. Eric does not do so, just scoops up the bishop, and it's going to be mate in a few moves. So a little bit of an important game there, because prior to that, I think we had seen 6 in a row from Dani the Donkey. So yeah, an important victory for Eric. Hedgehogs for me is coming up with a rather sinister explanation for Dani the Donkey's class, suggesting it may be Thibaut testing his integrated engine. And of course, with all this, all the Alpha Zero madness, I think that chess engines and you know, chess and artificial intelligence are sort of at the forefront of people's. Knight c3 check, knight c3 check. We've got queen takes h6. The pieces are dropping, so that was a little bit nasty there, because I think he was in control. But yeah, so people are talking a lot about that Alpha Zero thing, which is just completely crazy. I'm not well informed enough to know how to sort of interpret the magnitude of that, but it seems like a pretty monumental event, right? I'd be very curious to have a conversation on the topic with someone who is, you know, I guess, well, I mean, I guess somebody like Thibaut must have must have a very interesting take on it, right? Somebody who is both involved within chess and within I don't know. Can you say that he's involved within AI? I don't know. I'll stop now before any further displays of ignorance. So let's return to the chess. Here it's very interesting. White is just rook c8. I think at some point is gonna be happening here, and we're picking this up, having to sacrifice the queen, but this is too much material. This is rook and 2 knights. It's too much material, and look at that clock situation. We've got almost twice as much time, and the thing about this is it's a very easy position for white to play, because white can just constantly hit the targets, and you can see, but black has no targets for his queen. White's position defends everything itself, right? So we're seeing this is just too much. Okay, so I'm just checking here, by the way, because it's 12 o'clock and it's the whole it's the bedtime story, you know. I gotta get to bed. I gotta get to bed. What's happening here? I'm just trying to figure out just trying to figure out if somebody else is going to hop on the stream or not. Or do I shut it? Do I shut it down? Do I let it? I don't know what's going on. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so the good news is that I'm hearing that Penguin will be taking over the stream at some point. I'm not sure if it'll be from Lichess's official Twitch, or whether it'll be from his own account. But I think that for those of you who want to see more commentary of this match for however long it may continue, I think that it is it's going to be there sooner or later. Okay, besides that, thanks everyone for tuning in. As I said before, if you guys enjoyed the event and you want to sort of help if you enjoy Lichess, you enjoy the event, you want to help take Lichess further in what it can offer, its user base and its viewers and its ability to host these kind of events, to run them, then check out the website itself, become a player, and certainly if you become a patron if you're in a position to do so. We have this option to become a patron, which is an awesome way to give back to what is an entirely free site. And I hope I don't get into any trouble for saying that. I promise that I haven't been asked to say that or anything. But it really is a great site. So I wanted to put that out there. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the chess today. We've been treated to some amazing chess. Dani the donkey, who You know, perhaps one day we'll know who he is, but for the time being, an anonymous entity, but a very, very, very strong one at that. A real beast of a player, and he was able to win. I would say it's not that he completely coasted, but he was pretty much in control throughout the first ever Lichess titled arena. He took it down. He won first prize of $500, and then after that, Chess Brass showed up. Mr. Eric Hansen himself, one of the more famous YouTubers out there, and one of the strongest bullet players on the planet. And here they are, they're battling it out, and some amazing chess being played. And Chess Brass is certainly putting a dent on Dani the Donkey, but for now, Dani the Donkey is in a commanding lead, approximately 2-1 lead for Dani the Donkey after going on 40 games. So not sure how much longer these GMs are capable of playing truly insane marathon matches. Not sure how much longer this one will go on for, but if it goes on for a long while, hopefully Penguin will be able to provide some commentary so you guys can you know, can go along with that. So that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and hopefully hopefully I'll be back either under Lichess's channel or under my own channel, and certainly hopefully this is the first, but this will have been the first, but absolutely not the last of such events in Lichess's history. So with that, good night, and I'll see you guys again.